The Joe Rogan Experience.
When you have all these fucking nut jobs that are saying this is 5G, it's not even a virus, it's radiation sickness. Someone sent me, a guy that I really like, sent me this video of this doctor that seems like he's got schizophrenia or something. He's talking about this is a plasma disease caused by radiation. And I'm like, oh, fucking Christ. Imagine.
I've gotten so many people hitting me up. Tim, you got to talk about 5G.
Oh, God damn it.
Do you know how many people hit me up when 4G came out?
Listen, 5G is a thing, right? It's a new bandwidth for cell phones. It's going to be really fast. It's going to be in your phone. So the question is like, okay, all this stuff's flying through the air. There's all these signals through the air. What effect do they have on the human body? That's a good question. That's a good question. But to say that that's responsible for this coronavirus thing is fucking crazy.
Totally.
If you're saying they don't have any effect and here's why, I go, okay, this is why you don't need to be worried about UHF or or whatever different waves that are flying around through the air, Wi-Fi, and people are worried about all that kind of shit. They're really concerned that this does have some sort of effect on human beings. They think that, in fact, cell phone signals have an effect on bees. Right. And that was one of the primary theories about the drop in bee populations.
Yeah, colony collapse.
Yeah, these cell phone signals are interfering with these bees' ability to communicate. But to say that it's the fucking coronavirus, like, Jesus Christ. And then someone had a meme, Lil Duval had a meme that he put up on his Instagram, and I retweeted it. 5G's only in 5 countries, you fucks.
Right.
This goddamn shit is spread across the whole world, and you really think it's 5G? I believe YouTube has to step in, and they have to do something when shit like that is so egregious, is so preposterous. So the question is, where do they draw that line? If it would be nice if they could watch all your videos and say, oh, well, Tim Pool's a really reasonable guy.
They do.
Okay, but do they? Do they really?
No, they do.
Do they really?
They
you have a
do.
guy who's doing that,
yes.
who is 100% dedicated to watching everything you do. You put out a lot of fucking content.
I do.
How much content do you put out every day?
So,
if you had to guess, at an average.
Right now, as of the past few months, up to about 3 hours and 40 minutes per day.
So you got a guy that's dedicated at YouTube. His job is, what do you do? I'm the Tim Pool guy.
So first, probably not like that specific, but I do have a partner manager. I do have every single video I put out on my main channel is reviewed, 100% of them. They just recently introduced my other 2 channels. So I have a total of 3 channels under my name where I put out around 10 to 12 separate videos per day for a total of about 3 hours and 40 minutes. They do. So if I upload a video, it gets reviewed through some. So I first self-certify. I say this video has no swearing. It has no extreme imagery or anything like that. If someone watches it and demonetizes it, I then contact Google, and they reverse it for me. So I actually have someone who fixes this.
If there's an issue,
they watch every episode. They do.
They watch every episode.
Every episode.
That's bonkers. So you got a guy who that's their job.
I don't think it's necessarily one person, but
it's a team of freaks.
My understanding is it is California based. And so here's what I think YouTube's a very, very awesome thing. I wouldn't have a show. I'd be working, I was working for a Disney company and I did not like it. And I was able to leave and start my own business, and I'm rather successful with it. And it's because of YouTube, and it's because they view me as trustworthy. I've known them for a long time. They've worked with me. It's not perfect. The challenge is fundamental human rights and the collapse of the media industry. When we have news outlets that So I'll give you an example. You posted this on Instagram that people were calls for poison and disinfectant ingestion had gone up after Trump's comments, right? That's not true. It's fake news. I fell for it too. I tweeted it out. I tweeted the George Carlin quote, the one that's think about how stupid the average person is and realize half of them are stupider than that. Sure enough, it turns out they faked the story. The real story is that since the start of the pandemic, people have been buying more cleaner than normal. So statistically, with more people having cleaner, they're more likely now to accidentally ingest it. And since March, the calls have been going up. The New York Daily News, one of the main purveyors of this story, tacked on after Donald Trump's comments. Unrelated.
Dirty.
So here's the problem. If the Daily News, if CNN, if Fox, if MSNBC, if these outlets are going to do these things in a desperate bid to stay alive as their methodology fails, and YouTube is going to give them preferential access, which is what they've done, then we're in serious trouble.
But they don't give the Daily News preferential
No,
access.
no,
They don't
but
have
like
a channel.
the main networks.
Do they?
I don't think.
But the
I'm
main
sure
networks
they do.
aren't that egregious, right? Here's one that really grossed me out was CNN. I believe they tweeted, one of the reporters at CNN tweeted that Elon Musk has not supplied all the ventilators that he promised. Man. And then Elon said, are you aware that Twitter has a search feature? And then he starts retweeting all of these different hospitals showing the ventilators, people thanking him. It has the Tesla logo on it.
And it was the hospitals that requested them specifically.
Yes, and had
they were
specific parameters.
So you know what CNN did? Argued semantics. The article that was written to prove they were right was that those aren't ventilators. Real ventilators are invasive ventilators that go in your body. And CPAP,
but a CPAP is a ventilator.
Is a ventilator, as is a BiPAP. But they're called non-invasive or non-intrusive.
That's such a fucking gross way to justify what you tweeted.
And so journalists are supposed to help you understand what's going on in the world.
Yes.
Not confuse it for the goal of making money.
Brad, that's what it is, right? It's about clickbait.
Absolutely.
Like if you can clickbait that the smartest man in the world fucked up and didn't give the ventilators, like, ooh.
You want to know what the scariest thing is? CNN, any of these networks can make a fake story, get 1 million views, a day later apologize, retract, and they keep all the money they made. They don't got to give it back. So they're actively incentivized. I'm not saying they're sitting there, twirling a mustache, being like, let's write a fake story. But they know that if they do, they get paid. And so what? You know what? The fake news gets 1 million hits. The retraction gets 30K. We get paid for both.
So is this an editorial review fail where editors are not reviewing these articles that are being written by journalists?
I think they're all swimming in a toilet circling, down to the drain. Because what happens is so I saw a story written, I think it was an op-ed for the Washington Post or something, about Trump's alligator moat. That's fake news. That was never real.
Alligator moat.
Right. So the story from 2017 that Trump talked about putting alligators in a moat around the southern border or something was like, it's ridiculous. But here's what happens. You write a fake story.
They wrote that?
Yeah. So
that was his idea to do that?
It's been a while. My understanding of the story was that a source familiar with, Trump's thinking said that Trump had discussed an alligator moat. And I'm like, even if Trump did, isn't it obvious it was a joke? They
Yeah.
they run they,
How many
they go
fucking
nuts.
alligators would it take to guard the southern border?
2,000 miles or whatever.